Hello, gorgeous. Welcome to HG Radio, everything beauty, cancer, and inspiration. Here is your co-founder and host, Kim Becker.
Hello, gorgeous. You are listening to Hello, Gorgeous, everything beauty, cancer, and inspiration on Society Bites Radio, social interaction for the mind and soul. I'm your host, Kim Becker, once a hairdresser and a salon owner, now the founder of a nonprofit organization that coaches and trains women with cancer to help them smile when they look in the mirror. And if you ask me, I will tell you that I have the best job in the whole world. This episode is brought to you by Amplified Marketing Group. They specialize in affordable mobile solutions that will get you noticed and help you retain customers. Check them out at www.amplified.marketing. So today's episode, I wanted to share with you what I think are the top 12 things that you need to know right after you've been diagnosed with cancer. Just recently, a former client of mine reached out to me because her sister had been diagnosed with cancer and wanted ways to be able to help her and support her. And I realized that there are a list of things that I have actually collected over the years and years of helping women with cancer that they've told me that, gosh, they wish they would have known upon cancer diagnosis, or things that they found helped them through their cancer diagnosis. So I wanted to make sure that I pulled this list together so that anybody that was diagnosed with cancer, knowledge is power. So if you can go into this battle or into this journey with this knowledge, it will make a big difference for you so that you feel empowered. I want to make sure that we get you everything that you need so that you are successful throughout this journey. I remember when my sister was diagnosed with cancer, I had gone to several of her chemotherapy treatments, and I was sitting in the infusion lab, and I thought, we'll be able to get her through this. I was a hairdresser, and all the questions that she would have about beauty and cancer, we'd be able to get her through this. But as I sat and I looked around to all the other women that were there sitting in the infusion center getting their chemotherapy, I thought, man, they don't have a sister that has the experience that I have. And many times their hairdresser may not even have the information on beauty and cancer because this wasn't anything that we were ever taught in beauty school. So that inspired me to write our second book, which is I Promise to Put My Lipstick On When I Get There, which is the red carpet guide to looking gorgeous through your cancer journey. And so I it's kind of a what to expect when you're expecting for a cancer patient. So I wanted to pull all of that information and put it together. So that's all about beauty and cancer. But, upon cancer diagnosis, there's so many questions, there's so many unknowns, and not necessarily about beauty, but just some little hints and tips that we've collected along the way of doing hundreds and hundreds of makeovers with women with cancer. So that's why it's not a top 10 list, because there were two good ones that I didn't feel like I could leave out. So I wanted to make sure that I could bring all of this information that we found helped us and help these women and pull it into this top 12 list. So going forward, again, you would be able to have some of the information that you would need. But also, if there's something that, if you're battling cancer and you found something that helped you that's not on this list, I'd love for you to email me and at kbecker@hellogorgeous.org so that I can add any hints and tips to this list, because it's really my goal is that, unfortunately, COVID's kind of taken a front seat and cancer's taken a back seat. It's not that cancer's gone away. It's just you don't hear much about it anymore. And it makes it even more difficult for those individuals that are battling cancer because, again, COVID has kind of taken a front seat. So anything that we can do to help women battling cancer, or anybody battling cancer for that matter, but if we can make the journey a little easier or empower them with information, I would love to know your hints and tips. So if you've got a tip that I didn't cover and you want to reach out and email me, I'd love to be able to have that. So let's dive into the 12 things that you need to know right after you were diagnosed with cancer. So the first thing, and people don't even think about this, and I can't remember where I learned about this, but I've kept it and I share it with everybody that I can. But the first thing that you need to do is stock up on plasticware, plastic spoons, plastic knives, plastic forks. Chemotherapy can leave a metallic taste in your mouth. And therefore, using regular silverware can actually taint the taste of your food. So using plasticware at this time makes a big difference. And it's really, really, really important that you eat. You have to keep your strength up. I know that a lot of times chemotherapy will cause the feeling of nausea, or you actually may throw up and you don't feel like eating, but you can't afford to lose any weight right now. And you need to make sure that you're nourishing your body with all of the things that they need. And I know when nothing tastes good and nothing sounds good, that what you don't want to do is use silverware that's going to make the food taste even worse. So if you can stock up on plasticware, that's huge. That's something that would it'll really, really make a big difference. So invest in a box of plasticware. Number 2, if your chemotherapy affects your hair, one of the questions that I always get is when can I expect my hair to fall out? So not all chemotherapies affect hair loss, but let me tell you, chemotherapy is made to kill all the fast growing cells in your body. But the problem is the chemotherapy can't differentiate between the good cells and the bad cells, so it kills all the cells. So fast growing cells consist of your hair, your nails, which can affect your eyebrows and your eyelashes and your nose hairs. It can make your fingernails really brittle. Sometimes they will fall off. It'll affect your toenails. It can, not all of them do. But that's the question that I get a lot of times, and not all chemotherapies affect hair loss. They may affect your nails. They may affect like your eyebrows or your eyelashes, but it won't necessarily affect the hair on your head. Now, I have found that 95% of all the treatments for breast cancer, hair loss is a side effect of that. But there are other chemotherapies that are used to treat colon cancer or lung cancer that it may affect your hair, but it won't necessarily make it fall out. Sometimes your hair can be brittle, sometimes it can thin, but you won't necessarily lose it. So again, the question that I get all the time is, if the chemotherapy does affect my hair, when can I expect it to fall out? And just being able to give this to you so that you've got a timeline, you know where you're at and kind of what to expect. So it's about 7 to 14 days after your first treatment that's when, if you're going to lose your hair, that's when you'll lose your hair. And there are a few signs to know when hair loss will begin. The first thing is that your scalp will kind of hurt like a sunburn. If you know what it's like to get a sunburn on your shoulders or on your chest, it hurts to the touch. That's what your scalp will feel like. But if you've ever had long hair, and at the end of the day, you let your ponytail down and you kind of get that prickly feeling on your scalp, like when that hair is released from the ponytail, that's also a feeling that you may get when your hair starts to fall out. Now, your hair may not fall out at one time. You may just end up with like clumps that are coming out, or you may have hair, you may lose it in the shower or on your pillowcase, and you can either let it fall out on its own, or you can go and get your head shaved if that's something that you want to do. And shaving your head doesn't make your hair not fall out. It's just the pieces of hair that fall out are much shorter, so it makes it less cumbersome. If you decide to keep your hair and the hair is falling out, one of the things that I found that when you've got hair like all over your clothes or over your coat, it's used to wash dishes. It kind of looks like a starburst. It's a sponge. And if you use that, that's really good to pick up the hair, or even just one of I'm trying to think of what it is. It's one of the brushes that has the sticky paper on it. Just keep one of those handy to make sure that you're keeping that off. You can get the hair off of your furniture as well as off your clothes and off your coat. The third question that I'm asked, or that I want you to know, the tip, but again, these are questions that I get asked all the time, and that is that once my hair grows or falls out, when can I expect it to grow back in? Like if I'm going to lose it, like, will I see hair growth right away as soon as I finish, or what can I expect? So your hair will start to grow back in. Let me say that 7 to 14 days after your last chemotherapy treatment, that's when the chemicals are out of your system. So from about 7 to 14 days after your last treatment, your hair will start to grow. However, you won't notice your hair right away growing on your scalp because your hair only grows about 1/2 inch a month. So if your hair grows 1/2 inch a month, it may take 6 months for you to actually see 3 inches of hair, which is by that point in time, you can style it and do different things with it. I would suggest as soon as you can lay your hand on the top of your head and pinch the hair with your 2 fingers, that's when it's time to get a haircut. If you can pick up the hair on your head, then that's when you just need, and it's amazing. You don't need it cut. You just need it shaped, and something that looks deliberate, something that makes it look like you didn't lose your hair to chemotherapy, but something that it looks like you deliberately wanted it to be short and kind of fun and spunky. So when you can actually lay the palm of your hand flat on the top of your head and you've got enough hair that you can pinch, that's when it's time to get a haircut. The 4th tip is you want to make sure that you are drinking plenty of water. Lots of water will help to flush all of that chemotherapy out of your system. It keeps your veins plumped up so that if you don't have a port in and they have to actually, go through your veins to draw blood, the keeping hydrated is absolutely amazing. But also, I've heard of women that have had to go through the hospital or go to the hospital to get fluids many times when they're going through treatment, and it's just because they become dehydrated. And I know it's tough. The last thing you want to do is drink water when you don't feel good and you feel nauseous. But really, drinking as much water as you can. They say to drink half of your body weight in water, and that's what keeps you hydrated. So if you weigh 200 pounds, then you need to drink 100 ounces of water. But making sure that you are keeping that water in, even if it's something that you sip on all day long, just to keep yourself hydrated. Just make a conscious effort to make sure. And I know a lot of times for me, I forget to drink water. It's just, I have to make it a habit. I have something, where, every half an hour I'm taking in 4 ounces until I get my, however many ounces in that I have to get in. So just making sure that you stay hydrated, and it'll flush all those toxins out of your body. But I also want to remind you that soda, tea, and coffee do not count toward your 100-ounce goal. So if you have to get 100 ounces of water in because that's half your body weight, and you're a Diet Coke drinker or you're an iced tea drinker like myself, those numbers, so if I drink 32 ounces of iced tea, that does not count towards my goal of my water. So make sure that you're really getting in that water. Plus also Diet Coke and some of the sodas, anything that's carbonated can leach the calcium out of your bones, but it can also act as to dehydrate you as well. So you really need to make sure that you get all of your water in. Tip number 5, Orbit gum is great to prevent mouth sores. Now, I'm not paid by Orbit. I'm just telling you that this is what works. So some treatments can cause dry mouth, which can cause mouth sores. And you can get sores on the roof of your mouth and on the sides of your mouth. But Orbit gum has biotin in it. And biotin actually stimulates your salivary glands, and stimulating your salivary glands will prevent mouth sores. Now, if you're not a gum chewer, biotin also has a mouth rinse that you can use. And you just take that once in the morning and once at night and just swish it around in your mouth and then spit it out. And that will also help to stimulate your salivary glands. But it's just as easy to go to the store and buy a pack of gum and chew Orbit gum, and that biotin will help to stimulate those salivary glands for you. Tip number 6 is you want to make sure that you allow your body to rest. If you need a nap, take a nap. I know so many women that go through cancer treatment, they want to make sure that they can keep up with their normal schedule. They want to make sure that they're there for their kids, that they're there for their husbands, that they're there for their jobs. So many women still have to work while they're going through cancer treatment. And chemotherapy and even radiation, like a lot of the side effects of radiation, it's fatigue. It just zaps a lot of the life out of you. And so I know that we as women are warriors and we want to do it all and we're Wonder Woman, but we want to make sure that that we're there for others, but we also have to be there for ourselves. So if your body is tired, you need to take that nap. If your body is tired, you need to take a rest. If you're not, you can't be good for anybody else unless you're good to yourself first. Every time when we used to be able to fly prior to COVID, when you get on the airplane and they go through all of their safety talks and their safety